Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Leilani. Should we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today in late night episode because I couldn't be bothered. I'm going to be perfectly honest, completely transparent. I was just playing games instead. Yeah, I don't know what to talk about today. I'm just trying to think. I'm turning over things in my head. Just being like, well, what is there to talk about? Do I need to play any of my games, I suppose, simultaneously with this? No, I've already done my Neopets dailies and things like that, I think. I don't know if 6 hours are up since a volunteer shift, but good evening, everyone. I'm here with a late night broadcast. I hope I can make it through this. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 12 a.m. Well, okay, it should be 12 a.m. on Thursday, July 18th, 2024. But it's Friday because I waited a little bit too long. Yeah, what should we talk about? I don't really know. Off the top of my head, what did I talk about yesterday? I felt like there was something I was going to talk about in a recent episode, but then I went down a different line of thinking instead, except I can't recall what it is. So, I think it's also been ages since I've actually replied to comments on YouTube things. I know people have been needing comments. I apologize. I normally do try and sort of like do them en masse. I guess I've just been a bit busy recently, so it makes it a bit difficult to like find the time to just sit down and be like, all right, let's go respond to like 200 comments. I do appreciate the comments very much so though. Yeah. But what can we talk about today? That's a great question. Let's see what's going on with r/games. I hear the new League of Legends mode has been released. I've not had a chance to play it yet. I've seen some of my friends have been playing it in call. Hopefully over the weekend I'll have an opportunity to at least check it out or so. Really I should be doing a lot more drawing. It's still July, it's still art fair, and I've basically done very little. Just because I've been super busy, and then like each weekend it's like, oh, we're actually doing something. You know what? I can't be able to walk around. Let's just sit down. Let's have a chat. Heart to heart, one-on-one, you and me. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now. I just immediately lost my mind. Oh, yeah. I hear the sort of like Bullet Heaven new game mode is out. I hope it's a lot of fun. I don't really know. I do want to try it at some point. It's been a heck of a long time, I suppose, since something like this has actually come on out. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes sooner or later. Did I mention I finished Dimension 20 Fantasy High? I think I probably mentioned that at some point. I can't talk about D&D all the time, though. But it was pretty great. Well, what else can I say? It was a fantastically fun time. I've started a little bit of the next one. The next one is Escape from a Blood Keep. I will say that its genre it covers doesn't appeal to me as much, but you know, of course, I'm still excited to see exactly what happens. I'm just not like, I guess, as highly motivated necessarily to, to see it. I don't mean that as like a shot to any of the people who are actually like in it or anything. It's just more like just kind of more like the aesthetic of it doesn't appeal to me as much as like the concept of, I suppose, Fantasy High School does, which is a bit of a shame because I think it's very cool, and you know, it's got Matt Mercer in it. I love Matt Mercer. Who else got it in it? I don't know. It's weird seeing like so much earlier stuff because all of these people like recorded this probably like years and years and years ago or whatever, like 3 or 4 years ago, and then me watching it now, it's just like, oh, you know, I've seen some of these people much more recently, like they look very different. Apart from Matt Mercer, he looks basically the same. But yeah, it's an interesting one. It's sort of, as I understand it so far, it basically seems to be like a really hardcore world where basically we're seeing things from the villain's perspective, which is the villains are the protagonists' perspectives, like the people who do like all the bloodshed and murder and the domination of an era of darkness. We're seeing that's who the characters are playing, and I'm like, oh, you know, that's kind of like an interesting concept, certainly. Yeah. I don't know where else I was going to go with that. Just sort of like it seems like an interesting concept. What are we going to talk about for today? Anything happened in recent D&D sessions which are pretty cool? Most recent one was like an epilogue, not really an epilogue, but like a sort of tying up loose ends and starting to introduce the concepts of Act 2. Whether they want to take that hook or not for Act 2, I don't know, but Act 2 is something certainly where I want to try and introduce more and more like character backstory into it. And like we've had a little drip feeds of it here and here, but now we're just like, okay, It's like these acts may focus on a character or may not. I don't know if I don't want to centralize them too much on a character, but kind of depends where they are, where they go. Overarching thematics like this. Yeah, what was I going to say about this? Even now, just speaking about it, and I feel like I've got like a million ideas sort of just like popping up in my mind. Anyway, sorry, Arshas Games, what's going on? What can we talk about here? Or what's on the front page of Reddit, which would be interesting to actually talk about? I think like is Love Island still going on, or has that finished now? I don't know. Not something I've seen, so I don't really know. Valve employees, Team Fortress 2 update released? What? Excuse me? What's even in this update? Taunts and stuff, cosmetics, okay. A lot of bug fixes, that's honestly crazy. I want to see what the TF2 subreddit is like right now. There's nothing really crazy on here. What about my front page of Reddit? How's that looking? Anything interesting? No, I guess we'll have to talk about some random conversation instead then. Okay. What do I want to talk about then? I'm not really sure. Ice cream, I suppose, recently. We're getting very much into the summer months, and ice cream is something I'm having more often. But I can't actually remember the last time. So this is like completely random. I've been to like an ice cream van or something, because I feel like that is something which is super like 90s, 2000s, maybe even early 2010s coded. I don't know the last time I've seen an ice cream van. Actually, I do know the last time I've seen an ice cream van. It was... It's such a random story, but it's when we went to a friend's house. I think it was either for MSI finals, it's for League of Legends World Finals. That's often when we do our big meetups, is to watch our sort of game with like a lot of us, because we're kind of from like not all over, I suppose, England, but we're quite dispersed around, so it's not like we can meet up all the time. That was the last time, I think like 2 years ago or something. Like we were just like chilling outside, and then like an ice cream truck comes up, and then one of my friends immediately is like, you know what, I'm gonna get an ice cream. Just grabs his wallet, just runs out in his like flip flops, or maybe without even shoes on or something, to go buy some ice cream. And he also recounted the fact that he just like was first in line, and then he just like turned around and there was just like some kids like behind him or something like that, and he was like, well, you know, I wanted my ice cream, which is really quite funny. But that's the last time I seen my ice cream van. Like I feel like I didn't like when I grew up when I was younger. I feel like I don't even remember ice cream truck coming by very often. Like I remember like a few times it came by, but I also think that like I never got ice cream from there because my parents were very much shrewd, I suppose, of spending. Not in the sense where it's like we couldn't afford ice cream, but it's more like, oh, you want ice cream like from this? It'd be so much cheaper if we just bought it like from Tesco, and I'd be like, yeah, you're right. But to be fair, you can't really buy whippy ice cream, I think, from just like Tesco or a supermarket chain or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I had like whippy ice cream very recently, just like having access to a whippy ice cream machine. It was just back on Tuesday or whatever, and I made myself some whippy ice cream, and I was I like filled a cup up way too much. We didn't have cones, and I was just like, this is like way too much ice cream. Like, it's a ridiculous amount. And honestly, it's pretty good. Like, it's crazy to think that it used to be, I mean, if you don't know, there's a thing called like a 99p flake or whatever, which is because those whippy ice creams, the classic ice cream cone with like the white swirl ice cream with a chocolate flake in it, used to just cost, God, what happened to my accent? Used to just cost 99p from those ice cream vans. Now, the thing is, like, I vaguely remember when I was a child, like going to a beach and seeing those cost that much, but I would never buy the ice cream from the ice cream vans. Weirdly enough, I don't know why. For some reason, I much preferred ice lollies compared to ice creams when I was younger. And I remember this one time on holiday, I can't remember, I don't even know if I chose it randomly, but it's more like, it would be like, queuing up for ice cream or whatever. My parents are like, what ice lolly or ice cream do you want? And I just looked and I picked one at random completely, maybe because it was just like a deep reddish pink colour, and I was like, this looks like a cool colour. I don't remember what ice lolly is, but I think it was like cherry flavoured or something. And then I had it and I was like, this is like the most delicious ice cream or ice lolly I've ever had. And it basically just became the only ice lolly I'd ever like buy from an ice cream truck from then on. Because I don't know, I just found it so delicious. It was like amazing. I was like, this is mind-blowingly good. And I remember, I also have this other memory of buying or wanting to buy it from a different like ice cream truck vendor or something, and then him joking about, oh, you can't have that, it's got alcohol in it. And I, at that age, did not really understand what the joke was. So I thought he was like, oh, you know, an adult says, oh, you can't have it. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll buy something else then. And he was like, no, it's just a joke. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But it made me really sad because I was like, oh, no, my favourite ice cream, my favourite ice lolly's got alcohol in it. What am I going to do? Until, you know, it wasn't until walking away I was like, oh yeah, that makes more sense as a joke, to be honest. Like, why, I don't know why would it be selling an alcoholic ice lolly from an ice cream truck. But like, yeah, I don't know really the last time I've seen an ice cream truck, to be honest. Like, I guess they're probably only really by beachside places, and it's not like I've really been to a UK beach for, well, I don't even know the last time I've been to a UK beach. But I wonder how much a 99p flakes costs nowadays. Last time I checked, you know, like when my friend got that ice cream from that ice cream truck like 2 years ago, I think he said it cost like £1.50 or something, which is, you know, not only inflation, well, not only, sorry, cost of living increasing, but mainly it's kind of like inflation, I think, for that one. I can't imagine the profit margins are all that big for the ice cream truck. I don't know, actually. Maybe those whippy ice creams probably take like pennies to make. Things in batches tend to do. I think it's just hard to find a market for it. To be fair, with the heat waves I suppose we've been getting in the UK, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot more common or something. Anyway, my ice cream for choice nowadays tends to be Magnums. Magnums are just like, I guess, the best sort of unison of ice creams and ice lollies. They have a very sort of rich taste. Not sponsored, by the way. You might be like, oh, what do you think about like Ben and Jerry's? I think Ben and Jerry's are fine. What do you think about Haagen-Dazs? I think Haagen-Dazs is better, you know, and I do like Haagen-Dazs quite a lot. And you might be like, what do you think about Baskin Robbins? And I'm like, I don't really know. I think I've had Baskin Robbins like twice maybe. And one of the times I was supremely full when I had it. So, you know, I don't think it was the best indicator. So I don't know. I tend to like much richer, creamier flavours, I think, which is probably why I prefer Magnum. Because, I don't know, it tastes good. It's like why I like Galaxy Chocolate. They're just like milky, creamy stuff. Am I like mildly lactose intolerant, so should I not be having that? Probably, but Magnums are kind of okay, I think, you know. And then I will say, after I had the whippy ice cream, I was like, oh, my stomach feels terrible. Because that was just like raw concentrated like milk, I suppose. I mean, it's not like to say that Magnum ice creams aren't as well, but I don't know, I guess the fact that it was like cocoa or whatever and the chocolate helps balance it out. I don't really know. You might be like, have you ever made ice cream before? Or have you ever made ice lollies before? I've made ice lollies before. In fact, when I was much younger, I used to have like an ice lolly making kit or something where I didn't understand how it basically worked. Like I didn't get the concept of it, like, or what it would do, because I didn't understand like what you were meant to put in it to actually make ice lollies. So like we had never ended up making them. Like for some reason, I don't know, the concept of freezing fruit juice into these things never. Well, I don't know if it never really clicked with me, or if I just didn't like it that much. Because there's one thing when you have like ice lollies bought, like not company bought ones, but like brand ice lollies or whatever, and you have them and it's like, oh, it's fruity and it's milky and creamy at the same time. It's delicious. But frozen like fruit juice, like the homemade ones, just taste like flavored ice, which I think I've mentioned before. I'm not like a huge fan of in the first place. So maybe now I'm thinking about it, I think probably I just never made them because I was like, oh, they just don't taste as good as the store-bought ones. But yeah, I never really thought about the fact that I liked ice lollies a lot more when I was younger compared to ice cream. But now I'm very much on the ice cream train. Well, okay, ice cream over ice lolly train. Like, if you give me a choice of dessert, ice cream's not that high up there. I think ice cream is a nice thing to have, like, as an accompaniment to a dessert. But I would much rather have, like, a savoury. Like, would you rather have, like, a cone of chips? Or would you rather have a cone of ice cream? And I'd be like, give me the chips. Like, not every single time. Maybe like 90% of the time. I'd be like, give me the chips. Ice cream's good. But ice cream's only... ice cream is at its peak when it's extremely hot weather. And you're like, I need something to cool me down. Then I'm like, okay, don't give me the chips. The chips are too hot. Or something. Which is, as I'm saying, increasingly often here in the UK. And it's not to say I don't like ice cream. I still just eat it from time to time. It's just not like I feel like I don't get as much joy out of it as other people who just go like, yeah, ice cream. But that's kind of me with most foods, to be honest. But I'm kind of losing my mind. I really don't know when the last time I've seen like an ice cream truck is anymore. Let's see. UK, how many active ice cream trucks. I gotta imagine this is track somewhere because you probably need a license to actually do it. 2,500 and 5,000, but only 10% of them do street trading. Okay, that makes sense. So there's only like 250 to 500 doing street trading throughout all of UK. So no wonder I've like so rarely seen it. I remember not where I grew up when I was like immediately younger, but when I was like a young teen or something. But actually used to be ice cream vans very commonly about the place. I remember I used to hear the ice cream jingle like very frequently. So I guess that probably just like where I lived in that like town, that village area, and there just was like someone who was like an ice cream operator or something. Were ice cream trucks things in UK? Still huge. Doing rounds in summer. Okay, fair enough. I really don't know the last time I've seen one. Scottish ones are the best, what? In the winter? I've never seen it in the winter. Doing rounds all the winter. Really? It must be dependent on where you live. Probably just where I live is not so much. Ice cream wars? Excuse me? Mr. Softy Top. What is going on? Is a ice cream van still active in your local area? Let's see what people say. Around the school days and 10:30? Maybe they are more common. I think probably what's most likely is the fact that they're active in morning at school times, of which I'm either like not in my like I'm in like a completely different location, I suppose, most of the time. And like I guess when I'm, they probably just don't drive. Now I think about it, I'm thinking about the geography of where I live. They probably don't drive down my street very often because it's kind of like weirdly out of the way. Yeah, interesting. I don't know. I guess I must be. I just haven't really been paying attention. Let's see. UK, how much does a 99 flake cost now? £1.50, yeah. Which is very amusing because they're still called a 99 flake after the fact they were 99p initially, but now they're £1.50, which I guess is just sad state of affairs, really, if anything. Maybe that's not so funny. But being as expensive as £1.95. I will say, I do like flakes, though. Flakes, when I was younger, was one of my favourite chocolate. Oh, I completely forgot. One of my most favourite ice creams that you can get from an ice cream van when I started like favouring ice cream instead of ice dollies. It was something called a hedgehog. I remember because it came in like a clear plastic cone instead of an edible ice cream wafer cone. Which I will say, if it's just a plain edible ice cream wafer cone by itself, nah, not a fan of it. Chocolate lining the inside, that's pretty good though. So like the Cornetto ones. But it was called a hedgehog. It would be the plastic clear cone, and at the bottom it would have like a gumball. It would be filled up with like whipped ice cream all the way to the top, and there'd be 4 flakes poked in it. So, you know, it looks like a hedgehog's head, basically sideways. It's basically a variant of a screwball, which is basically the same thing without the flakes in it. Hedgehog. I wonder if it's actually a thing, or if I just made the site. Hedgehog ice cream. This is not what I had in mind. This looks like an ice cream covered with like almond brittle or something. That's so cute. But that's also not what I had in mind. Hedgehog ice cream, like flakes or something? Yeah, a hedgehog cone. It's just basically a whippy ice cream with like 4 flakes in it, which is so excessive, mind you, but still. The one I remembered had these plastic cones with a screwball at the bottom. Hold on. Ice cream. Screwball. Oh, screwball ice cream has a Wikipedia page. Yeah, with a gumball at the bottom. So I guess a hedgehog variant I've seen is not actually what a typical hedgehog ice cream is. Apparently it's actually like an actual brand. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, hold on. Okay, let's see. Cherry Ice Lolly, UK. It wasn't Tango Cherry. Was it a cherry brandy? Ah, I think it was a cherry brandy. That's why the ice cream vendor made that joke, because he's like, it's got brandy in it, which is, if you don't know, an alcohol. That was like my favourite ice lolly for ages. I loved it. Like, I was like, this is delicious. And now, I don't know. I still vaguely remember what it tastes like, I think. Probably would still kind of like it. I still probably would choose like a whippy ice cream instead, like a very simple one. Actually, I might not even have an ice cream, to be honest, if given the option, but still. Anyway, on that note, ice cream vans. I've not seen one for ages. It's been many years. So I hope they're still active and kicking, because they're very fun things. Anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope you see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.